I'm really excited to be joined today, continuing the series by Aicha Coulibaly from over at Texas A&M University. Aisha, first and foremost, how you doing? How are things going in College Station?
I'm doing pretty good. College Station has been treating me really well, so I'm really excited. And it's been really hot, so that's not pretty fun. But it's been a joy to be here, so I'm happy.
No, I can imagine. I live in Cleveland, Ohio, and it's been like 85 last couple days, and that's plenty for me. So I can't even imagine being in Texas right now.
Yeah,
I
it's that.
visited, yeah, I visited a friend in Dallas like this time last year, and was like,
Mhm.
I'm so like I'll wear like a crew neck sweater anywhere, right? And it was like 110. I was like, oh wow. I was outside for about
Yeah, I
20 minutes.
can't
Like, this
do that
is
here.
mistake, but you learn and,
But
and and get over it. But heading into your fifth year now, have you kind of gotten to like reflect a little bit, like, damn, this is me, this is senior year, this is kind of last ride in college.
um, yeah, every night before I go to bed or like stepping on the court, like I think about it, and I know this might be my last time being here. And right now I'm just enjoying the moment and just work on the things that I need to work on to get ready for the season and just enjoy every little bit of it and be where my feet are. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm very excited with the team we have right now, and just excited to start the season and just do the best to help my team out.
No, absolutely. Kind of looking back at this last season too and what it was for you. How do you kind of like, again, like reflection? I think I know, especially in basketball, it feels like it's such a year-round sport now. It's really difficult to like take time to think about it. But when you look back on what your first year was with this team, how do you kind of look back on it, and what do you want to build off of from it?
My first year with this team, it was a lot of, learning and like,
Hmm.
just finding myself and like playing new positions. Like since I got to Texas A&M, I was at the three position. And before transferring, I was a forward the whole time. So I had to work on a lot of things and just my handles, like being able to guard a guard on the perimeter and just those little things. And I feel like they helped me a lot develop in that aspect. And I just want to, develop on that and just keep growing and growing and just add up more to my game. So which is like the things I want to work on right now is just like, getting to my pull up and again being comfortable on the court and doing the things that I've been working this summer. And, it's been a process for sure. And I feel like I've grown a lot just learning about myself and it's been a great season. So last year I've learned a lot about myself. It's been
Yeah.
helpful.
It was fun because I've been watching you since you were at Auburn, and I think getting to
Hmm.
watch last year, I know that your box score numbers were down a little bit, but I felt like you were a better version of yourself this past year.
For sure.
You were more efficient. I felt like you just kept getting more comfortable on the floor and seeing where you can make an impact, particularly like, and we'll talk about it while we're diving into film, but I think like you look at your last, like tail end of February into March, I think is the best basketball you played, period,
I agree.
which is really exciting. But I want to go backwards a little bit too, because in doing research on you, like obviously again, like I've known who you are for a minute, but I had forgotten that you missed most of your high school career playing. When you came over to IMG. Um, that's a really difficult time for people because, like, again, that's when you're making some of your biggest strides in developing as a player. So I think it kind of stands out in looking back that you are as far along as you are right now, skill wise, considering what that was. So could you kind of walk us through a little bit, like what was that time like for you when you suffered your ACL injury and really didn't play too much in high school?
Yeah, it was a lot of mental things that I had to go through, but just trusting in God and trusting in myself and my skill set and stuff like that. I was able to pick back up like once I got back on the floor. So when I first got here, I played for a little bit, tore my ACL, and I was out for like a little bit. I tried to get back on the court again. It wasn't good. So I had to get surgery the first time. So it took me like a year of rehab and stuff like that, trying to get myself back. And when I transferred and went to IMG, um, I felt like something was not right with my knee. And I was just like, it's loose. I can't move. And I had to go back to the lab again twice before I went to college. So it was very stressful because you didn't know who was watching me before because I didn't play a lot of basketball here. And, it was a lot of mental things I had to go through. I didn't know who was looking at me, the colleges that were offering me before I got hurt. Am I going to get that again? And I just had faith in God and just, stayed on top of what I have to do, get in the rehab things, and then just do what I have to do to get back on my feet. And once I did commit to Auburn, and that's when things started lining up for me, just rehabbing and getting back on my feet. And, you know, just I don't know, it just came naturally to me when I got
Yeah.
back on the and I just built up off of it. And And here I am right now, doing the best I can to, just build and build and build until
Yeah.
now.
No, absolutely, and I think it's kinda like you're mentioning too, it's interesting because, like, I know you were kind of a latecomer to basketball, you didn't start until you were around, like, 11, um, and
Yeah.
obviously coming over from Mali, like you mentioned missing that time in high school and having to deal with that. I mean, you were, correct me if you're wrong, you were here by yourself, like, it was not you didn't have
Oh,
family
yeah.
here with you, this is, like, trying to do that. I can't even imagine trying to do that as a teenager. So, like, I feel like in some ways, like, obviously that sucks and is not something you wanna go through, but, like, I think that you've already had some of that experience is, like, that's just not something a lot of people can relate to at this level yet. So, how do you even kind of adjust to that? What was the decision like to coming over to the US? Because I know obviously you had started to play pretty well in Mali and were an exciting prospect, but, like,
Yeah.
what was that decision-making process like, and how did you kinda handle that?
Well, so since I was young, when I started playing basketball, and I used to watch a lot of NBA games and WNBA games with my dad. Like, we had our own teams and stuff like that. So, and I knew I wanted to play at the next level, and I knew, like, for me to be able to, achieve my goal is to come to the United States. And when I played for my national team, I was like the youngest on the team. I remember we went to the World Cup in Spain, and one of the coach USA teams saw me and they offered me. So I emailed them, and that's how the process started getting, going. And like me coming here, well, I didn't speak English at first. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna lie. All I knew was hello. Like people would say something, I would just laugh and go by my day. I had no clue what they were saying, but I didn't speak any English, and it was pretty hard. But I talked to my family every day. I stayed in touch, and even going through my knee injury process, they helped me through it. I just call my mom every day, just talk about things, and doing the things I need to do and stay on top of it. And that's what I did throughout my process. And it hasn't been hard for me. And after that, like being here, I kept re-injuring myself. Like I was out for like 2.5 years. I didn't touch
Mhm.
the ball or nothing, just rehabbing and stuff like that. So I would say my mom helped me through it, and the people that was around me at ING, they were very supportive of my process, and they were very patient with me, and they gave me a chance, and I'm very appreciative of that. And you know, and I would never forget. It's just an opportunity that a lot of people don't get to get, and yeah, I just that's what happened, and it just clicked with me, and now I'm here at Texas A&M playing basketball and living my dream.
Absolutely. No, it's been awesome to watch you continue to grow. Again, looking just at this team as a whole too, what was the desire for you coming to Texas A&M? I know from everything I've seen, I know Joni was a big factor and understandably just a tremendous person, but kind of walking through what that process was like to come to A&M.
Coming to A&M, when I was in the portal, it was a long process because I didn't want to visit a lot of schools because I knew I wanted to stay in the SEC first.
Hmm.
So when SEC schools started reaching out to me, and when I talked to Joni, what I told her, I was like, "I'm your biggest fan." Like I was a big. I told her I was like, I'm your biggest fan," and she was like, "I'm your biggest fan too." But coming here, like just like on my visit, I felt like it was family. I just clicked with them like all of a sudden. And, we had players here. They were just, I was happy to be around them. And that's what I look for when I go to a school, being able to play basketball and still have a relationship with the people that I'm around. And they're good people. And that's really what got me here. And just sitting there, talking to them, the players really made me feel comfortable here. And they were very welcoming. So, and with that process, it didn't take me long, and I was just, thinking in my room. I had a really hard time. I'm really bad with decisions, so I had a really hard time thinking between here, Tennessee, and like other schools. And I was just like, one time I sat down, I was like, I felt like home here, and this got to be it. And that's how I got here.
I relate to that heavily with decisions. I feel like, I think so much about, well, it could be like this, and more like I don't want to miss out on something. I don't
Yeah,
want to make the wrong move. So that's understandable. It's really hard to do that. And I can't even
yeah,
imagine, kind of making such a decision, like a decision that big, obviously.
yeah.
Um,
And I had 2 years. Like I wanted to be at a school where I can stay for 2 years. I don't like transferring like that. And I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna pick a school there where I'm gonna stay for 2 years and not have to change anything. And I'm happy here. I don't have no words. I don't
yeah,
have no complaints. Nothing. Everything is great.
I love that. Um, I want to, kind of talk a little bit more about on the court stuff too. Where do you like? I know you played a lot at the three and at the four this past year. It felt like pretty split in between. Where do you feel best at on the court? I'm interested to see what you think. Cause I have thoughts, but I'm interested to see where you're at with it.
I would say, like, between the 2 I mean, the 3 and the 4?
Mhm.
Ooh, I would say the 3. I feel like I really enjoy the 3 here because whenever I'm at the 3, there's always a mismatch, like, against the other teams, and I felt like that was an advantage for me, and every time anybody that was guarding me at that spot had trouble guarding me, so I feel like it was an advantage of me, like, just helping my team and stuff like that. Like, right now, I just feel like just gotta improve my shot so it'll be harder to guard me, like, next year coming up, so, yeah, it will be the 3. I say I like the 3 more.
Definitely. I think so it's fun because I'm kind of like split. I feel like you can't go wrong. That's where I'm at. I think part of what
Yeah,
makes you such a fun player to look at moving forward and right now is you're so versatile, right? Like you're so quick, you're so strong, but you're also really good with the ball in your hands. So it's like, okay, it takes a lot for somebody to be able to guard you. Like you have to have so many different kinds of skills on top of one another in order
yeah,
to be somebody who isn't a mismatch for you. And that's part of what we're going to walk through in film. But I think, exactly like I think you can really man both forward spots, and particularly with what you do defensively, you open the door to do a lot of different things. You talked about your shot a little bit too, and it's interesting because I don't know, like again, I think part of what's so important and anytime people pull up box scores, I'm like, all right, you look at your box score, you shot I think 15% from three last year, but you really didn't take that many. And I go
yeah,
through and watch, and
absolutely.
again, like we talk about the end of that season,
Yeah.
you really started to shoot the ball, and I think you could really see too, like, when I mean, I went back through and I watched all your shot attempts from deep this year, and it's like, they're really I don't see anything with your shot that I think is, like, incorrect. Like, I think, like, obviously, there's always minor things you can tweak or whatever, but I watched and I'm like, I think it's just confidence for you and continuing to
Yeah.
take it. So what has that process been like for you and, becoming somebody who wants to take more shots and become somebody who can do that?
Um, this whole summer, that was the focus. I would say, like me just getting into my shot and my pull up, because I feel like you said, it's the confidence thing. Like the past couple years, every time I catch the ball, it's drive, drive. I don't even think about shot first.
Yeah.
But now I'm being, working on my pace and like being patient when I have the ball. It's just coming in naturally. Like it starts in practice. Like if I don't shoot it in practice, it's not gonna happen in the game. And that's what I've been doing more in practice, like getting a shot, that's my shot, and not forcing anything, and just getting to that rhythm like every day, just getting the same thing every day. And yeah, that's been the process right now that I'm working on, just being confident and just comfortable shooting it, and not have to think, oh, I have to drive every time, because they'll double me every time whenever I drive the ball or something. They're trying to like take a charge or something. Just being cautious of what I'm doing right now, and
Yeah.
just think first shot first before I do anything. And yeah,
I
that's
love
what
you
I
bringing up the patience because I rewatched the last 4 games of the season the last
yeah.
couple of days, and that's what stands out the most in watching those games. I'm like, you're just so patient with the ball in your
Mhm.
hands, and it felt like such a big difference for you. So I'll pull up the film now. We can start diving into it. Um, while I'm doing that, I want to ask though. You mentioned like obviously growing up watching the NBA and W. Are you somebody who is watching film kind of all the time, or you always have basketball on in the background, or how are you
Uh,
with that?
yes, I watch about 10 hours of film every week. I
Okay.
have to. Oh, right after practice, I'm asking them, "Can you upload it?" Boom, I'm watching it. I don't know. I just feel like that's what helped me every game. Every mistake that I do, it just help me out. Like I know not to make that mistake the next game. So I
No,
watch a lot. I really do.
absolutely. Okay, so are you watching, like, with the W season going on right now, have you been keeping up with stuff?
Yeah, I've been watching the AC's game. Every game that's up, like if I know I can watch it, because I don't have every channel like where they
Yeah.
be playing them. But wherever I can watch it, I watch it every day. Yep.
Who's your favorite player to watch right now?
Ooh, it gotta be. I love Asia Wilson. I love her
Yeah.
game. She upped it up a lot, so I love watching her. And Rakia Jackson, I love her game. I have a couple people. Jackie
Yeah.
Young, that's right there.
Yeah,
Jackie
no, it's a great
Jones.
collection of players to all look at, and it's
Yeah.
kinda fun too because 'cause we're gonna go through some clips of you against Rakia this last year. But it's fun because like, going through again, like, talking about some players who kinda remind me of you, I feel like I don't know if you've watched much of Michaela Onyenwere. I think that's somebody who reminds me a lot of you watching her play. She plays for Chicago right now. And
Oh,
also Benijah Laney. I think I remember talking to Joni last year when you first transferred in. I was like, I think there's a lot of stuff to be excited about with, being a player who can, again, somebody who can play 3-4, but also like really can drive the basketball, but grows into that shot and a lot of exciting stuff to look at there. Before we dive into the film, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsor for this video and series, State Champs. State Champs is a community-based streetwear brand with a brick-and-mortar sports coffee shop located in Kent, Ohio. Check out the link down below for a t-shirt collab we did, their catalog of apparel and accessories, and stop on by in person to catch a game and a cup of coffee as the WNBA postseason unfolds this fall. All right, so let's get going with the film. I want to start off with some stuff on the defensive end because I feel like, to me, that's where the first thing stands out, because I think so much of being at this next level is you have to be better, you have to be neutral or better on both ends of the floor to really hang as a pro, right? And I think you bring a lot to, like, on the defensive end. So first, like, obviously just making a strong rotation and causing a play at the rim, like being able to, you're not a player who gets caught napping off the ball often. And I like that aspect about your game a lot. Especially timing on rotations and stuff like this. Coming into a new team this last year, you guys were such a good defense. What
Yeah.
was key to kind of finding that early on? Because I feel like one of the ways you really grew this past year was becoming an even better off-ball defender.
I just feel like being on Joni's team, she talks about defense a lot, and we work on it in practice every day, and we know that was like our way to win a ball game. And so, just being, paying attention to the little things, little details that matter. I just, kept doing the things that can help the team. If I'm not producing on offense, I'm gonna do something on defense that we're gonna turn on offense. And that was just my mentality the whole game. Like every game when I step in, if I'm not, offensively good, I'm gonna do something good on defense just to help the team out. And this team was pretty good defensively for sure. We had height, like athleticism, everything was pretty good. So it was a joy to play defense with them. As long
Definitely.
as everybody we move together, it makes it easier for everybody to get in their place. So
Yeah, yeah. When everybody's rotating together, it makes it really hard to
yes,
play against.
yes,
Also, whenever we're going through, if you want me to, like, go backwards on something to show it again, let me know. So it's a
yeah,
conversation on it for sure.
okay,
Um, this one too, again, like, I think part of, again, what makes you such a good player is, like, there just really isn't a weakness for you on defense, in my opinion. When you are, like, locked in and on your spot, like, you can really sit down and guard guards, which is pretty rare for somebody with your size, right? So you don't open up any kind of driving lane here to start, and then they move the ball, start getting into another action, and then what I love is, again, just making a play here and helping out on the post, because Zakiya Franklin is a really good player, but she's really not a shooter. So just knowing personnel being able to make this harder, because again, Tiana Jackson was one of the best bigs in the country last year, so it's good
yeah,
defense. Also working with Lauren too. I think Lauren's defense went so under the radar last year. Like, again, what
yes.
you guys did as a team was huge, but I felt like, I mean, she was one of the best rim protectors in the country last year.
Hmm.
What was it like having a player like that who you could kind of, you have that safety net behind you a little bit?
Well, it's pretty good because sometimes whenever I look up, I see her blocking shots coming my way. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's been a joy playing with Lauren. Defensively, she knows her personnel every game, and she knows what she has to do. And she's like the tallest on the floor at times. And so, yeah, it's been great having a big body behind you, like have knowing that somebody has your back every time. So,
Absolutely. Um, and now looking at some stuff, watching this game against Georgia was fun because I feel like you really get to see, again, talking about your versatility whenever you guys play against the zone. Because I think whenever you guys got zoned against, which happened a lot this year,
yes,
you get opportunities to do more, right? And, like, so it's just quick pick and roll counter out of a zone. And I think this is, even like when we look at later on in this year, I think that you're even more slowed down and controlled coming out of this. But I think this is good. Like, just when you're coming off this, okay, cool. I got Lauren, get the ball, but I think there's even more for, like, if you take another step in or something and you're able to
yeah,
potentially draw too. Like, I think that's stuff you really start doing later on in the year.
yeah. I feel like what I was thinking, so I drove the ball.
Hmm.
I definitely could have drove more. I could have, bring more attention. I just once I drove, she was coming my way, and I was like, yeah, I gotta let it go right now. But I didn't know all three of them were, go for her for the ball at the same time,
Yeah.
and it just looked like I rushed and just passed it. I could have go to into a pull up as well. So just
Hmm.
being patient.
Yeah. No, you absolutely have even more to get into with that. Which, again, like, I think that's part of what's the really exciting part about your game. There's so much more to keep unlocking with it.
Yeah,
Um, this one too, again, I think you were one of the better cutters in the SEC this year. I think people look and say, "Oh, it's just easy. It's against the zone," but it's the right timing. You know how to do it. Like, everything is always just quick and right up. And I think one of the things I love about your game too is like you really just don't have to put the ball on the floor to get the ball in the net,
No.
which is really important. Is that something you've kind of always had, or is that something that's developed over time for you?
I feel like it's just something I've always had. Like I feel like I like simple basketball. I
Yeah.
don't like just dribbling the ball and just doing a lot of stuff. Like I don't have all that. I feel like my first quick step and then just like a crossover or something get me somewhere. Just dribbling the ball is not something I would do. So
Yeah.
I just keep that in mind. Just if I can beat the person one dribble, I'm doing it. I don't have to do, crossover behind the back or those stuff now.
No, that's a great point because like just knowing who you are as a player is so important and
Yeah,
being yourself. And like you, like we haven't even mentioned it, but I felt like you were so good at cutting down your turnovers this last year too. Like
yeah,
most of your turnovers were not live ball things. It was like, okay, if it was like just a
yeah,
misstep or something like that. And again, this is looking at just quick stuff with you. Like I think your ability to quick rip into something is really good. Like right here too, I think you show off your touch. Like your touch on the in between area. Like I think there's even more to get into with looking at like runners and floaters and stuff like that. And you do a really good job using bank here, just getting up with height and finishing that. This one too. So yeah, just looking at defense again. Obviously the good first rotation to take this away at the rim because obviously you don't want to give up middle at all. And then Javin Nicholson for I felt like again somebody who went under the radar was just awesome for Georgia last year, a really tough cover.
yeah.
And I felt like you did a really good job of just being somebody who could play against her in the post, like talking about that versatility again. Somebody who can guard guards, you can guard posts, just a lot of ability to kind of do versatility on both sides of the court, right?
Yeah.
There's that pull up. So again, like I think when I watch your shot, I think every like it's good. Like as soon as you just get
Yeah.
into it quickly without hesitation, like that's just a quick, like you said, one dribble up and banked in, and that's clean. Another thing too, like I think we'll talk about it with your steals, but I think just your
Mhm.
like hand quickness. Like obviously you have really quick feet, but you're so good at like keeping people in check with your hands too. Because I think even whenever somebody's trying to do their fadeaways to try and create some space, and I think you take it away so well with how quickly you get your hands up.
Yeah.
Um, like again, a lot of players can be in the right spots, but they don't have that kind of reaction time, and that's really hard to beat.
Agree.
Especially like on defense. I know we talked about on offense where you feel best at. On defense, where do you again, like, does it kinda, like, it depends on who you're on in a game, but where do you feel best at on defense?
Um, I would say I started enjoying guarding guards. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I feel like every game, like whenever I was on the best guard every time.
Yeah.
Someone worked quicker than me, but I would say especially in that Arkansas game when we played again, they're the guard. That was the fastest point guard
Yeah.
like I've ever
Samara
played.
Spencer's crazy
Yes.
fast.
I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, I don't know how you want me to guard her. If I step up, she gonna shoot a 3. If I back up, she gonna just attack me. I don't know what to do. But, it was a challenge at first, but I feel like being in the perimeter and just moving a lot, and I feel like that's gonna help my game even in the next level. That's the part I like the most.
No, 100%,
It's
and
hard, but, it
yeah,
gets
no, definitely. I think, again, it's kind of a trick question because I just think you're good guarding all over the place, which is part of what's important, like, being able to do everything, and, again, like, there just are not a lot of players who are 6 feet, 6'1" that can really guard down like that so well,
yeah,
um And we talked a lot about mismatch stuff, but I think we got to see so often when you guys played a team that, tried to guard you with a smaller wing or another guard, it was just, I mean, you could go into the post right away and it was quick. And again,
yeah,
it's the efficiency, one dribble, and that's pretty tough to stop. And I love too, one of the things you do a lot, this kind of like high gather right here to get into stuff. Where did you pick that up? Because I think that's a big part of you not turning the ball over. Like you're so good at avoiding help by using that high gather, and it helps you get into your moves too. And it's one of the things
yeah.
I really like about your game.
So, like I said, throughout the year, just from watching film and just trying to get better, I used to be really out of control. I'm talking about I'm driving the ball, I
Oh,
see
I
you right
watched you at
I
Auburn. I know what the first
yes,
year looked like.
yes. It's like it was so bad to the point I was like, I gotta do like I
Yeah,
found out in a couple games where I didn't have to. If I would have just jump stop, it would have been good. But I feel like, guiding myself, like we do in practice as well. Steve is in charge of that. Like he always like, tells me AC jump stop, jump stop. They're gonna be right there, jump stop. So just having that consistently in my mind, just through practice and like going over and over again, it just stuck with me. I don't know. And in practice every day, they always tell me like jump stop, jump stop. So in the game, it reminds me I know they're gonna take a charge, so I'm gonna jump stop before I get there. So yeah,
definitely. So this one too, I like this because again, I think whenever you get to see a broken play, like something that isn't meant to happen, I think you get to see things. Okay, nobody's thinking here. And again, the jumper when you're not thinking and it's just in rhythm, like
yeah,
that's clean.
yeah, I agree.
This one, so you talk about guard and guards. I love this because you get to see your lateral quickness against the guard, and Michaela Williams really tough player to guard
Yeah,
against.
she
Obviously,
is.
this ends up being a breakdown on defense, but like it's not on you. It just happens. But again, like so often teams are looking to push in transition and get something early, and that can be a drive baseline, which ends up being a pass in the middle, and being able to shut that down. I feel like that's something you did a lot this year.
Yeah.
That just takes something away and makes teams play farther into a possession. And then again, too, like the quickness, you end up getting a charge call here. Um, your ability to beat people to their spots is just like I don't know how you do it sometimes. You're just so quick with that. But yeah, like did you play any other sports growing up? I meant to ask that off
No,
earlier.
just
Oh,
basketball.
really? Okay.
Yeah, just basketball. Like I feel like sometimes like when I guard people, like when I know my matchup, I do go and watch some film on the opponent, like on the person before the game. Not
Mhm.
only that one person, the whole team. So I know I was gonna guard Michaela. I knew I was gonna guard Flage, and I could end up in what's that big puss name? What's it? Anissa.
Yeah, Nisa.
I could have been on Onista, so I just watch every single player, like how they move when we watch film, and I do my own study as well. Like that's just how I do it. And like you said, with the quickness, sometimes I just know what they're about to do, and I just cut it off.
It just speaks to your ability, like how much you are investing in like keeping up with this stuff and seeing it. And it's
Yeah.
cool because I mean, it plays out in games with how you are playing to tendencies and getting to see things. So, like, when you're looking at things on film, like, what things are you looking for? Like, what maybe pops most to you, and what's some ways that you've kind of seen some things grow for you in the last couple of years?
Um. Oof. I watch a lot of film. Like I'm telling you, I go back and watch like even my games from 2 years ago. But I feel like I just try to see my improvements. I'm talking about everything that I do, like you said, defensively, like how slow I'm moving sometimes, like or how fast I'm moving. Like I just try to pick up like little things. Like I don't skip my mistakes. Every
Yeah,
mistake that I make, I watch it. Even if it's gonna hurt, I'm not gonna skip it and just watch the good things. Like I feel like sometimes when you say you watch film, that's what people think about. Oh, you just want to see yourself. No, I want to see the mistake I made so I can fix it on the next, like for the next game and just get ready. And I feel like for me personally, I just watch my defense. Like, what am I doing? How can I guard this better? What was wrong with this play? Why am I running slow? And just pick up those little things. Like, it's not always negative, but like just pick up on the things that I know I can do better, so I don't make the same mistake next time. That's just how
definitely.
I am throughout. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like take notes when you're watching too, or is it just you just kind of keep it in your head?
I just keep it in my I'm like a visual learner, so I just
Yeah.
keep it in my head. I don't take notes though.
Okay. We're the opposite. I had to take notes all the time. Whenever I was
Yeah.
watching, I was like, all right, I gotta make sure. But getting into this too, looking more at stuff. Like we talked about the cuts. I think you're a good cutter, and then you kind of bring that in on top of being able to seal in the post and take advantage of a guard. Like you're so explosive getting into this stuff, right? So it's like, okay, if somebody's not right on top of you, again,
Mhm.
just like one dribble and in, and that's just really easy. That's really easy, efficient, effective offense.
Yes.
So this one too, you guys switched a lot in this game, which you guys were like, it depended on the game. It felt like you guys could get into it if you wanted to. Other times, not as much. this game you guys switched a lot to try and take some stuff away from Rakia, and I think you see a lot like again that ability to play it, just having your hands up quick in somebody's face,
Yeah.
and then your lateral quickness to stick with somebody always stands out. When you were guarding a player like Rakia, like somebody who's more of playing at kind of the 3-4 as well, who can really get into that mid range game. What were the keys for you in having a matchup like this?
I would say she's taller than me actually.
Yeah,
She's
she's
so
yeah 6'3", I think.
I'm like, girl, you tall. But for that, so I feel like I said, I watch film on her and I just try to take away what she does best. Like that turning out right there, you can't do nothing about it. She just has to miss it. So I just told myself, anything if anything happened, I'm just gonna have my hands up, at least like blocking her view or something. Because that jumper right there, that turnaround jumper, that's her money every time. So guarding Rikia, I just, kept in mind like the things that she should do best, just cutting it away from her. I feel like we did a pretty good job in this game actually
Yeah,
guarding her because
very
she had
good.
a lot of trouble scoring and stuff like that. And I don't know. I just stayed up to the defensive principles that we had, so it just worked out for us at that game.
Yeah, and even looking at this, like, because I agree, Rakia's really good at this. She's
Yeah,
been very good at it in the pros as well. But I think something that people lose sight of too, like, okay, if you're keeping Rakia away from getting to the basket, and you're keeping her, or anybody for that matter, who's like capable of getting their shot off,
yeah,
you'd rather them take that contested shot from 12 feet than be right at the rim off a drive. So like being able to
yeah.
be in somebody's face and make it hard, like that's all you can ask for sometimes because so much of defense is, can I just make this hard? Because everything can't be a turnover or a block shot.
And in that game, like I try to limit, like whenever I was guarding her, I try to limit her touches because if she doesn't touch the ball, she's not gonna do anything with it. So I just try to deny hard and just make her tired, like to work for the ball. And yeah, it worked actually.
It did work really well in this game, yeah.
Yeah.
Going off that too. So this one, I think you're like we talk about your quickness with your hands, and you're talking about that denial right here too. Um, you were so good at just being able to kind of cause havoc on if there was ever a lazy pass. I felt like you did like a really good job balancing being aggressive, but also finding ways to make plays and contribute on that end.
Yeah.
How did what obviously like I think this one is like, you can see the ball coming and you have the ability to get to that, but it's a lot easier said than done, just watching to actually put that into practice. So like what was were there maybe any things that you like specifically were like feeling out or looking for when you knew you could make a play on the ball or what was most key for you in that this year?
In that play, or just
Just
my
in general, yeah. I mean, it could be this play, but like just in general, like kind
um
of deciding when to go for it and when not to.
I feel like it's just a feel, and in practice, before games, we go over their plays, and I try to remember where they pass the ball. And sometimes I feel like I bait them to pass it. Actually, I'll give
Yeah.
a little space and make them think that they can pass the ball and just go for it. I feel like it's just been me. And when I was at Auburn, we get a lot of steals. Like we used to get a lot of steals and stuff like that, and it just became natural to me. Like I just have a I don't know how to say it, like an instinct, I would say.
Yeah, you do
When
have an
I know
instinct for sure.
so yeah, I look at their eyes and I know they're about to pass it, then I'll go for it every time. Like I just look at their eyes and what they're about to do instead of, but I don't know what is it. It just came natural.
Yeah,
I don't know.
well,
I
it
just look at
works
their eyes.
pretty well. I can't yeah, absolutely. Um,
Yeah,
no, I love hearing that because I think even like you mentioned with debating, I do think you do a really good job of that, like, which you can't teach some of that. That's just being able to do really good things. Um, one of the things I love too, so this is you getting to play, obviously more at the 3 here. You guys started running stuff out of horns a lot towards the end of the year too, and I think
yes.
when you were able to catch the ball, up at the nail and then make plays from there again, we get that high gather and then just into a step through. I felt like you really excelled so much this year at kind of playing in really tight spaces like that. Most
Yeah,
forwards have a lot of trouble kind of creating like this, but you get onto Raki's. This is good defense from Raki at first, and then you get
yeah, it
that
was.
step through onto her hip, and that's just, I mean, that's really good stuff. Um, and I think even more, like I think about, okay, as you keep taking that three ball, and all right, maybe you guys are starting a couple more feet out. It doesn't seem like much, but I think that
Mhm.
opens up so much for you in terms of like your footwork and being
Yes.
able to take people off the dribble like that because this is, I mean, this is your bread and butter is being able to attack the basket.
Mhm. That's my favorite move right there.
Yeah, you do. You love getting to that, getting to that spin, and also
Yes.
getting on somebody's hip like that. You're so good at it.
Yeah.
This one too. So I know this is not a perfect play. We talked earlier. It was like, all right, you really don't get caught napping off ball often. This is one of the few times, but I think part of what I love about this play, like so much so for reference, whenever I'm like, I know if a coach is watching this, they're probably not thrilled. But me, from somebody of more like a scouting mold, I watch this. I'm like, all right, I know Aisha is not going to have this happen most often. What happens when it does happen? I mean, your
Ooh.
ability to get around screens and get back in front of somebody and flip your hips that quickly is really I mean, like you can't teach that. Like that's good stuff. Especially again, like oftentimes when we're talking about a player who can flip their hips like that and stay in front, we're looking at a guard, somebody who's 5'9", 5'10". Being able to do
Mhm.
that 6 feet is really difficult. So again, I know you don't want to get caught napping like that, but I do think being able to do that,
Bad. I
that
don't even remember this.
yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah, that
That
one
was
is a little tough, but it's hard too because they did a lot of stuff with like messing around with guard screens, and this is right here. I think you see kind of making up for it a little bit because they started trying to do a bunch of like cross screens to get Tamari better positioning in the post, and so it's kind of trying to blow it up and deny it. Again, getting over the screen, literally getting over the screen. You draw a offensive foul here.
yeah.
Um, that's especially like being a player who can get through and over screens as well as you do, what do you feel is most key to that? Because I think it's a little bit different for everybody, but where what do you is it just a feel thing for you or because to me I feel like it's a
Um,
technique thing.
it is a technique because we work on it every day in practice. I just try to be consistent, I would say, in what I do,
Hmm.
like especially defensively. Like even my coaches tells me like you can be one of the best defender in the SEC. So why don't you do it? Start some practice, you know.
Hmm.
And we play against the boys like or practice players that make us better every day. Like whenever I go against them, they're very shifty and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, don't be nice to me. Like I want you to go hard. Like if I can't guard you, like how am I gonna guard like the girls that I play against? I just tell them like make me better, just challenge me, and I feel like that's how I get better at it every day in practice. Like whenever we got to go over the screens, I try to like go over it and not get hit, and so yeah, it's just being consistent with it, and it's definitely a technique take as well, like being
Definitely.
quick to get over it.
Yeah,
I
I
used to
think.
struggle with it actually.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said I was struggling with it a little bit, but I got better at it as we went. So
Yeah, no, I think you got really good at it throughout the season. And I think one of the things you
yeah.
can do so well too, like even right here, you kind of like cheat the screen a little bit because instead of like
Yeah,
going over here where most people would, you're able to just like get up and around it. And like again,
yeah.
that's really good stuff. Um, Getting into this next one. So I think looking at your like again, talking about mismatches, like especially off of inbound plays, whenever you were playing at the four, I think we really got to see where you could kind of take advantage of some people with that because most fours just cannot come off of a screen like that, and that's
Yeah.
again easy stuff. So then getting into this one too, I think part of what was really fun in watching you guys play some smaller teams is what you could do off even against wings because like all right, cool. Just rip off of a quick screen and then back in, and then getting to that step through again, which, as we've already established, that's the moneymaker. Um,
Yes.
which again, I think that's so interesting too, because missing as much time as you did with the game, I think having this kind of footwork and ability to get to that, that's like when did you kind of first start developing that out?
Um, it started. Ooh, I don't even know actually. Oh, this I would say it started like I said, like when I started watching myself, like my freshman year, I was very out of control, and I was
Hmm.
like, every time, every game, I had a charge. I get a charge every game. So my second year, I said, you know what, I need to do something about this, and I started doing a step through, and it just kept going and going. And now I feel like I master it now. So whenever like this would have been a charge me freshman year
Yeah.
and sophomore year, that would have been a charge. I would have just run them over But now it's just the patience that I've been working on, just being patient and just, taking my time and not rush anything. That's why it's been easier for me to do that, like every game, I would say.
No, absolutely. That makes a ton of sense.
Just gather myself and not be out of control so much.
Yeah. No, a couple more clips to run through. So this is like looking more at some of the offensive stuff too. I think this is showcasing like, all right, doing more pro stuff because I think you guys really started to open up the playbook a little bit more towards the end of the year. And right
Yes.
here again, I think the patience stands out so much because like this is like pro stuff, just like a quick pitch. It's like a ball screen, but it's not a ball screen. It gives you kind of the
Mhm.
same action, but you can't really go under it, and that gives you the ability to just quick, go down into that. Like that's I mean, that's again, it gets you to your strengths, but also makes it really tough to guard.
Yeah.
And I think especially too, like taking just like kind of that quick obviously the spin, but then like sort of hesitation off of it, it makes it
Yes.
really difficult for the big to step up on you too, right? And I think
Mhm.
just getting into like we talked a little bit about earlier, your touch like inside the paint, but not quite to the restricted area, I think is really good. So it showcases a lot there.
Okay.
Next one. So yeah, one of the things that I'm also excited about for you that we haven't really gotten to see a ton yet for you is like I think obviously playing more at the four, you get opportunities to be a screener, right? And I think
Yes.
you're somebody who like this to me, again, looking at pro stuff, that is such a good slip. Like being able to, and I know part of it's an inbounds play, but like being able to quick slip like that, steal and get into a move, like that's again, so much of what you do in screening actions is like I think that there's so much to open up for you as being like a pick and roll roller, somebody who can really screen and then get into, your post ups from there because it's so hard to just be like, all right, we'll go post up. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's times where you can, but so much is like, okay, cool. If you can get this inside track on somebody, that's really difficult to guard. And then again, the good footwork, because what you love about this too is like they know, okay, she wants to go to her one side. Well, nope, spin
Yeah.
back the other way, get the counter, and easy finish. So this game too, going into the South Carolina game, I believe this was your season high, right? I want to say this was your
Yes, it was. It was.
what was I mean, obviously, I mean, you come into every game ready to play well, but, this game was different. So, like, what was the feel going into this game? Or what kinda was there anything that you felt differently headed into it?
Um, for this game, I would say I'm a very competitive person, and I
It
remember
shows.
when we played them the first time. I remember they embarrassed me really bad, and I was like, "I'm not gonna let it happen twice." And I was just like, "Today, I'm just going." I was just clear minded. I don't know. Like this game, I wasn't stressing about nothing. I was like, we got nothing to lose. Like we have to compete tonight, and I just came on there. It just came up to me, and I didn't have a first. My first half, I didn't have a really good game because I kept traveling and stuff. But I was like, just take me out. I need to breathe. And yeah, and after when I came back in, I was just like, calm down. And I just told myself they can't guard you. Like whoever that's guarding you right in front of you, just attack them every time. And that was just my mentality the whole night. And I didn't want to let up. And I didn't want to get embarrassed twice as well because
Yeah.
it was pretty bad the first game.
Yeah. Well, building off kind of that last clip we looked at last 2 clips we looked at, again, I think seeing you slow down and play with patience, like, obviously, part of what I love here is, like, obviously, Jania's playing the 5 right now. I mean, Janiyah was able to get the switch to pull a 5
Yeah.
out, and you see that, and I think this is where, again, looking at the patience is really key because a lot of people might look at this and say, "Alright, kick the ball out and let a mismatch happen," but I think you have the mismatch here. So being able
Yes.
to get into that hesitation and get downhill, like again, Bree Hall's a really good defender too, but you're so
Mhm.
strong, you're good off the dribble, and like that's just really tough to guard.
Yes. It is.
So when you're seeing this too, is that something that you kind of already have in your head? Like, okay, I see the 5 is out of the paint, and especially because it's Camilla. Like, I want to attack the basket.
Yeah, the first initial, I actually was gonna pass it to Lauren right there. You see,
Yeah.
like go back a little bit more. She was coming, and I called her. I was like, "Come on, like come screen!" Like I
Mhm.
knew she wasn't gonna stay in front of me, and I just stayed patient. I knew Camila was out of the paint, and I was just like, you know what? And I tried to drive, and she cut it up. Then I did the retreat dribble, and
Mhm.
just in and out, and she was off her feet. So I just went,
Yeah, that in and out is really nice. That's very good stuff.
yeah,
Um, Yeah, no, I like that one a lot. Yeah, this whole game was just really fun to kind of see that play out. Again, like we're looking at more of like you guys playing out of some horn stuff, playing at the four, get the ball. And this is, I mean, this is just very much pro style offense, like pick and roll with a pop on the back end, no hesitation, you get the shot off, and it's like again,
I
because
know.
yeah, getting the shot too. I know, like you mentioned, this the first half wasn't necessarily the half you wanted, but getting this shot off opened up so much more for you the rest of the game. It felt like because they started guarding you out to three the entire rest of the game. So
Yes.
yeah, you come off like a quick curl screen here, face up. They're all the way out to you on three, and then just drive and get to the foul. And like I
Mm,
think if you don't take that three early on in the game, maybe they don't step all the way out to you. So that opens up and changes the floor so much for you.
yes. She foul. I don't know why she's complaining.
I I concur. Yes, that was also a foul, so I can't disagree. But I also can't. I mean, I was somebody who I every time I got called for a foul, I was complaining. So
Yeah,
respect. But um yeah, and then another opportunity, just kind of getting into that. You get a quick kind of like slice screen a little bit with Lauren coming over, faking your screen a little bit just to draw the help away, and then you get a one on one, and that's, I mean, Ashlyn was incredible defensively
yeah,
last year.
it
So
was.
being able to just kind of get into her and use her strength, because again, like I think so much of people thinking about mismatches is against somebody smaller, but I think even when you're against somebody who's maybe a little bit longer and taller than you, you're really good at getting in and using your shoulder. And I think that's such a big part of continuing to be efficient getting downhill like that. And then last clip, this one was one of your best plays of the season, in my opinion. Like looking at that patient stuff, like coming out of a ball screen and just continuing to, instead of this being like a straight line drive, it's okay, cool, quick two protected dribbles into the paint. Like this is really good stuff. Because
Yeah.
again, I think this combines everything together. If you keep taking that three and making it, you have more opportunities to kind of like run stuff on ball like this. And that's really exciting to think about.
Okay, that was good film.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Well, before we get out of here, just one last quick thing. In terms of looking ahead to this year, things you really want to accomplish and keep building on. What are you most excited to show? And I mean, shoot, less than a month and a half now coming up on us.
Yeah, it's right in the corner. Um, I feel like I'm really excited to see what this team can bring to the table. I feel like we've been working really, really hard as a team, like this whole summer and coming up now. And for myself, I just, just growing the game and just, doing better than I did last year and just being patient with myself and just working on my pace as well, like in the game, and not have to, start getting it going in a late the season,
Hmm.
starting off strong and just, helping my team out so we can make it to the tournament. That's the goal. And this the last year, just making the best out of it and just enjoy the moment and, take every opportunity that I can to be the best version of myself every game and just give it all 110%.
Definitely. Well, Aisha, I really appreciate your time. I'm excited to watch you, kind of
Thank
keep
you.
finding yourself this coming year. I think a lot of people should be excited about your game if they're not already. To everyone watching, if you're not already, be sure to go subscribe down below. Keep up with all things Texas A&M women's basketball. Most importantly, have a great rest of your day.